Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of your Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always, joined by my wonderful friend, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, Zach?
Yeah, all right, mate. Not too bad. Didn't have Saints to ruin my weekend, so that was quite nice. But also didn't have Saints to win and cheer me up. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
You've not had one of those things all season, so it's fine.
Nah, that's not true. I had a real bad, if you remember rightly, medical procedure thing that I ain't disclosing publicly on here. Let's just say it wasn't fun if you're a dude. And we beat Everton in a terrible game.
Terrible game, yeah. Absolutely awful. But we're back and we're here to talk about Southampton after a weekend off. I'm struggling without a game this upcoming week, to be honest with you, Zach, because it's also the F1 week off. It's only one rugby game I'm interested in to keep me going through the weekend, and I just don't know how I'm going to cope, to be honest.
This is the thing, right? With being a massive nerd that just plays video games and gets really invested into other franchises, whenever there's a sports weekend off, I can just pivot into spending time doing all of that, which is all right. But at the same time, I do miss. I miss enjoying
family.
I do miss enjoying football. And to be fair, I've had the same. I went to see Hamilton Friday. That was great. So I've just had it's just been weird to have no sport that I've wanted to really watch at all. I know that you're a big F1 fan. It's just not something I'm really bothered by yet. I'm sure that will change over time. But yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I think everyone could have done with the week off, to be honest, from Southampton, because I don't know what the vibes are. I think I've told you, I'm not checked out for the season. I'm very
excited for the end of it.
Yeah, I'm looking to the next one because this season it holds nothing left for us, right? I still don't even know if we've been mathematically
We have not. We are still mathematically in with a chance.
That is insane. With 9 points, there is something wrong. If with 9 points we still haven't been relegated,
I think
in March.
I think that next game week could be it. So quick maths: 9 wins is 27 points. And so we would potentially be able to catch up with even West Ham with that. But that obviously is reliant on us winning 9 games and both them and Wolves losing 9 games. So,
if you want to know the insanity of how sort of Saints occasionally affects my brain, is I had a dream last night, and as you know, because we often talk out of podcasts, out of work and stuff as well, is I have some kind of gnarly dreams. I don't know why. I always have done since I'm young. My family are the same. But last night in my dream, I was at St Mary's Stadium, and Aaron Ramsdale got injured, and I got called up as a backup goalkeeper. Which, bear in mind, I don't play football for fun, ever. I managed to boot the ball out, which resulted in a goal happening. But I had to run off at half time to get something. And the rest of this dream was me trying to work my way back to the stadium and various different things stopping me, including just the fact the stadium wasn't in the place that it should have been. And at one point, Watford's manager coming out at half time, running past me, complaining about a red card. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And the reason that I'm telling you this story, Greg, is one, because it's waffly and it's always fun. But two, is the fact that even in this dream where I had helped us go 1-0 up, we lost 8-2 to Watford. They had a red card. And I was sat there. And I was sat there watching. Yeah, because this is the part of me that started to understand it was a dream. Because I'm like, Watford are in the Premier League and we're out of all the cup competitions. So even my dream-induced state, I was still able to recognise that one, we were bad, and B, we were so bad we weren't even playing a team that were in the league. So,
all right. Well, look, the season, however, is not over.
It is not.
Although mathematically we are not relegated. We all know the real truth. But is there part of the season left to go? So we thought we'd take a quick look through our remaining fixtures and just have a quick gauge of if there's anything we can take from it. So obviously, first up, our home game to Crystal Palace. Is there the hope that with like a couple of weeks off, or like a week and a half off, that we come into this with a bit of a head of steam and sort of break their rhythm, or is their form at the moment just good enough to just steamroll us?
I hope so, and the problem is that at the moment it does just kind of feel like you pick either a 3-1 or a 2-1. No, sorry, you pick over 3 goals. You pick 3 to 5 goals, and that's how many the other team will score, and we'll usually get like 1 if we're lucky. I'm still an advocate of them trying to play towards some sort of defensive mindset because we just need 3 points. 3 points to stop us being the worst team of all time. And I think that should be the sole aim rather than trying to go out there to win games. And I know that sounds insane. Like we should always go out to win, but like we're just not going to. But if we can stop them from scoring for 90 minutes, as far as I'm concerned, I'll take that at the moment to make us sure we're not the worst.
I also saw Matt Letizia call out yesterday for 3-0 draws to get us over the line. So
I was calling that for the Wolves game, and you sat there and called me insane. And then I bet after the Wolves game, you probably wish my 0-0 was right on the money.
No, I still agree. Going out, I don't want to sit at St Mary's and watch us try and defend for a 0-0 because we will still lose.
I also for like from the perspective of you going to St Mary's, you want to watch a game. I get that. Like I completely understand that. I mean, from a table perspective, like it's already like you're already starting to see the articles prop up now of like Aaron Ramsdale already leaving Southampton and where all the players are going and this and the other. And it's just like I still think they need to find enough pride to not be the worst Premier League team of all time. And if they aren't going to dig down and find enough pride to do that, it's going to be the accolade that lives with them. Like, yeah, we're going to be the team that were the worst of all time. Sure, we've already got the accolade of having 2 9-0s under us. It just means another thing they talk about when they complain about the team playing Southampton. When we do, they had a really sprightly performance. And then at the 80th minute, they let Diallo score 3 goals. Like, it's just like, that seems to be a lot of the story of our season. So, yeah, I think
we're probably going to go down as the team who have lost the most matches in a single Premier League campaign as well.
This is the thing. So for me, it's like I would love to see a little bit of pride, and hopefully that will mean that Problem is if we do too well, Juric might stay. I very much doubt that.
That's
but no,
why
I
think one win.
I think the thing is I'm pretty sure the only people that the only sort of result we saw we could get, and I know it's the Premier League, so anything can happen, but we've been very predictable this season, was the Wolves game. And then it seemed that they just chucked it up the wall for like the first 65 minutes and didn't play without a striker and played 5 at the back at home. It's very, very strange. But look, I don't know. There wants to be something in me that believes that there is enough fight and pride to get us a win or some points. Could it come against Palace? Well, this is going to be the longest stretch of time off they have now to the end of the season, right? So this is going to be the time that they have the most chance to regain their energy and, not go down as the team that the worst of all time. And there's the run of fixtures we've got after. I'm starting to I know that you've got them all in front of you, but I'm starting to think of the kit teams we haven't had crossovers with yet. Because apparently that's how I'm remembering. And I'm like, ooh, that's
I mean, so our first fixture after Crystal Palace is an away fixture to Spurs on a Sunday afternoon.
See, that we could do well at.
Yeah.
Because it's Spurs.
Would it just be the most Saints thing ever to go and smash them 5-0 in the first half at their home ground and get their manager fired?
It would be very, very funny, and then have them all desperately want Pochettino back, which I'm already starting to see rumours of, which is, that would be a very Saintsy thing to do. But again, it's like, realistically, Greg, if it is going to be, it's going to be Tottenham are really bad at scoring, and we score a really bad bundled in goal, and then they just don't manage to score again. That's how it will be. I know, that's what I mean. But like looking at it realistically,
does that
that's
imply
what I hope
you think Tall Paul scoring if it's a bad bundled in goal?
Yeah, obviously, because like this is what I mean, though, right? Like it doesn't. you look at any of the fixtures at the moment, it's like, where are the goals coming from? And we're not. Some games we're not even playing with a striker. We've got a lot of people going out to the media. Like, fair play to Soleimana for doing interviews and stuff like that and saying that he wants to bring some fight. Toolpool wants to bring some fight, but it's just never. It's not happening. And if it does, it happens in the worst possible way. But I could see a Spurs doing a Spurs and us doing, I know that they all get mad at us, and I know that I've seen, like, we've had comments before, like, we're one of the most successful teams of all time. I'm like, yeah, but we're looking at currents, right? Like, we don't talk about the FA Cup win from like the 60s because it's irrelevant. Like, at the end of the day, what's important? 70s, I think. What's important?
76. Come on.
I had 66, which is the World Cup, and that's because we've been in International Week. Leave me alone. But like, that's kind of like where I'm at with it, right? Is that would be, we are really bad at the moment. Spurs, if any club are going to drop a sock on the floor, they'll drop a sock on the floor. Maybe that's where we get our points,
All right.
and that'll be it. And I'll take it, and you'll take it.
I will take it, and then the rest of the season's a free-for-all. Speaking of the rest of the season, we will come on to our next fixture, but first a message from our partners at Bionique.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements, designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body.
Okay, and we are back. So after Spurs, we go and have a home fixture against Aston Villa. They're not on the best run of form at the moment.
No, but they do have
But
an out of form.
it's still form
loan.
that we would wish to have.
Yeah, they've got an out of form striker on loan who has already scored against us once this season in Marcus Rashford, and I can 100% see him scoring like a hat trick at St Mary's just because get his England hopes and boosts up there. It's a difficult one because Villa are like, historically years ago, Villa is one of the teams that I'd expect us to beat. Now I look at any fixture against Villa like, oh no, we're probably going to get beaten a little bit. Maybe we'll do something, and then inevitably we get beaten. They're just a good
They're
side.
one of these teams that have like successfully navigated their way to the like upper tier of this.
Yeah, fair play to them.
Middle to top part of the table, part of the Premier League, right?
Yeah, say that at one point, the new Champions League format had them top of the Champions League for a little while. Like, that was.
I mean, they're in the quarterfinals.
Like, there you go. So you got to treat it.
Through. I mean,
all
they got to do is beat PSG,
which stranger things have happened.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, it is one of those things where for me, I see that as probably going down as a loss. But at the same time, if we do manage to beat Spurs, I still don't see us getting past Palace. But if we, for example, manage to beat Spurs, going in your idealistic worldview of we get a win and we've beaten Spurs, at that point, the elation and joy of not being the worst Premier League team of all time will probably mean that tools are down against Villa.
Yeah.
But
tools are down. That's the real answer. Like, it's not going to fire us on to break this terrible run of home form and get a win against Aston Villa at home.
Because again, like, I think that there is an awareness from the squad that a lot of them aren't going to be here within the next 6 months, right? So when you're talking about home form, the home form of the squad that's going to be here next year probably is going to be a completely different squad. So I wouldn't be surprised if there just isn't really a thought process around that. In my opinion, I know that's probably maybe slightly controversial, but it just feels like the heads will drop because it will be sort of a relief, and they don't have to worry anymore about being the worst Premier League team of all time, and then we can just kind of kick the can down to the road at the end of the season. If we don't manage to get past Spurs and Crystal Palace, there'll be obviously significantly more pressure. It will be a home game, which will obviously add significantly more pressure as well, because home is getting hostile, and I understand why. So I can't see us managing to put something together, but it might finally be like a nail in the coffin for Juric at that point if we lose like 3 on the bounce again. And
Mm.
I don't know. It's hard to say that. Like, I don't think that they would get rid of him when they could just wait to get rid of him at the end of the season at this point.
Yeah, it seems like such a waste of money. It's basically
Especially if we're going to be scrounging for pennies.
Mm. Then our next game after that is away to West Ham. Also having like a pretty woeful season, but not to the point where they're fighting for relegation. I mean, potentially, if any of the promoted clubs, including ourselves, had done better, they would be right down amongst it, sat in a 16th place slot on the same points as Spurs and Everton. But I mean, one of our
Wouldn't it be
better
funny?
performances of the season was against West Ham at home.
Wasn't that just a new manager bounce though? Wasn't that just after Juric had come in? They've all got a point to prove. They've all got to do something. So then that's where I'm at. Like, whereas now, I think if you're at that point, if we've already been confirmed relegated at this point, again, I think your heads are going to drop as soon as that's actually happened, regardless of whether or not we all know it's mathematically there. Regardless of whether or not we know it's there. Like, once it's mathematical, once you know, I think there's a big difference, and like, you're not fighting for anything at that point other than your own pride. And they haven't seemed to want to do that this season, the rest of this season. And I wouldn't be surprised if at that point Juric just like, what we're going to do is play 7 defenders up front. Like, okay, mate, whatever. There's like crazy formation, and we're just going to do it this way. We'll defend the ball, but in their half, and that's going to result in us scoring. Because I'm a football genius. And you're like, sure, but it would be upsetting to see like James Ward-Prowse score a free kick against us or something like that, wouldn't it? Now he's back off of.
Yeah, that would be really upsetting because that would break the record as well, right?
Yeah, it would be like because
you're right.
it just feels like a very Southampton thing to happen, right?
Until
next season.
Sorry, not at St Mary's. At the London Stadium, at least, and not at St Mary's. It could be,
but that would be a very. And then it would be like all the headlines would be that he didn't celebrate, and it'd be like, oh, bless him. Anyway,
yeah, and then our next fixture, Fulham. A team we actually have managed to take a point off this season.
If we can make it the game that we watched against Fulham, which I'm still relatively sure is the most boring game of football I have ever seen, there you go. We get up to 10 points if we haven't got that win already.
Yeah.
So
they seem to have sort of found their feet in recent games.
They're playing a lot better. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they win.
They've got a tough run of fixtures before us as well. They've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Chelsea. So it could go either way.
Yeah, because it could be one of those things where they put so much effort into the sort of big fixtures that they kind of forget about us. But the problem is that we've had lots of examples of that this season where we've gone them 1-0 up, and then all of a sudden they've just needed to like turn it on, and then we've lost later because it turns out like we give, it's like all the games against. I know that's a big difference, but like all the games against Liverpool have been like that, right? We're like when we've played well, and suddenly we're like, hang on, we're Liverpool, and then all of a sudden we're down, like we're losing, and that's kind of it. And I worry that it will be very sort of similar circumstances, but maybe we could give that game a go. Is where I'm at. Like, if you're looking at games you really want to give a go, arguably I'd want all of them. However, in reality, I could see, even if we try now, I think that it will be too late at that point to grind out a draw, though.
Yeah, well, and it definitely will be if we haven't got the points by then, and we will get into why. But first, a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. Okay, so if we haven't got the points by Fulham, it really comes down to last chance saloon as we head into May, because I'm going to fire off the final 4 fixtures very quickly.
Yeah, it's good, man.
We've got Leicester away, and then we are home to Man City, away to Everton in the last ever league game at Goodison Park, and then at home to Arsenal on the last day of the season.
Here you go. Here's a controversial one for you. Leicester draw because neither of us need it, nor do we care. Man City lose because like it's City and they spent a bunch of money on players that they could afford to in January. Everton lose. Of course, we're going to lose at the last game at Goodison Park. Hopefully not 9-0, just to give them that, but could see that too. And then last day of the season, just to upset Arsenal fans, we win. Because again, we've been a bit of a bogey team to them. We've been a bit of a bogey team
It's
at the
got
time.
3-all, 4-all draw written all over it to me.
Juan Larius comes in and does a Cuca Martina, mate, and shoots it from the halfway line and somehow goes in. And then we celebrate, and then Arsenal fans are ruined. And then don't worry, it will be their year next year. I don't think that the title race is going to go down to the last game, if I'm totally honest.
I mean, but the argument being that both Man City and Arsenal will be basically rubber matches at that point. We'll pretty much definitely be down. Arsenal will be pretty much guaranteed top 4, but not going to be winning the league, I would say. City maybe less so. City might still be fighting for top 4 when they play us. So
the flip side of it is that you might end up having some teams that are already a little bit safer, whereas we'll still have this points records to fight for. It's just so mad to me that, like, when we started doing this at the beginning of the season, you were early into the podcast, and I jumped on with you, and we were making jokes about the points record, thinking, we're going to get a run of games and pick up some points somewhere. And now we're desperately looking through the last few fixtures of the season to go, where could we possibly pick up 1 or 2 points? But
honestly, looking at that final run-in, I can see maybe 2 draws, and Leicester is a game that we need to win. It's my honest assessment. Like it might be a very football thing to happen for us to ruin Everton's day on their last day at Goodison Park. But
imagine being the team that done the double over by the team that almost became the worst Premier League team of all time.
Yeah,
because that you're right. This is the thing, is that I am kind of happy.
Your last league game at your home stadium of decades being decided by a tall Paul stumble-in goal, like lose 1-0 to that.
Football heritage. like that's the thing, right? It's
who scored that would be football trivia for years to come. Who
scored the last goal at Goodison Park?
Who at you accidentally? It bounced off his face.
And that's the thing, right? Like we could. I don't care if that's how we end up getting over that threshold, right? I am happy for us to break any record, do anything. I just want to get to a point where I can start watching Southampton again and be excited, and not like a 95% sure that we're going to lose because we weren't even going to attempt to get a draw. And we're getting closer to that with the end of the season anyway, because next season will be a whole different kettle of fish. But like, going out with any level of pride, I think, is what's important. And if that means we have to have a drawn-out, gross, grim win, then that's fine. But I also think that it's not really, the players are a lot at fault, but I also don't think that under the guidance of Juric we're going to see a lot of chances appear, and we've been really bad at taking our chances so far. But there are lots of narratives that could happen that would make it very funny for us to win, and may the footballing gods be with us is all I can say. You're in the same boat, like,
yeah,
because as you've listed out the fixtures now, mate, I kind of feel like my 0-0 would be lovely. I don't think we're getting 0-0 against any of those teams.
It's going to be a long and difficult run-in, that is for sure. But
it's going to be funny though, isn't it? Come on.
I just don't know. I
can't wait to see the random players that score against us that haven't scored.
We'll just beat Crystal Palace next week. It'll be a comfortable 2-0. And then we're just done, right? We can just take the rest of the season off.
Oh, the cycle started early, mate. We haven't even had the second England game yet. What are you doing? It'll be what it'll be. Like, this is it now. We know what the outcome is. We know what we're fighting for. They're saying a lot of stuff in the media about wanting to give something back to the fans. That's lovely. But in my mind, it's still have some pride in yourselves. Go out there, prove that you're not the worst Premier League of all time, and then go off to wherever you want to go, whether it's Italy, Portugal, Spain, wherever they're all planning to leave to. And then you don't have that accolade with part of the worst Premier League team of all time underneath your name on any level of, like, media for the rest of time. Because
Yeah.
if you think English media is brutal, go to Italy or Spain. Can't wait for that to be in the papers of all the players.
If we do beat Palace and
Mm-hmm.
get past the point total, that leaves us on 24 losses in the season so far, with 8 games to play. Derby lost 29 games in that season, so we would need to grind out 0-0s for 4 of those games to also not be the team who lost the most in a single Premier League season.
I think that's just going to happen. Like the nature of the way this season has gone, and we have talked so much about the various different factors that have caused that, and where we could be, and where it's going to go, and what's going to happen forwards. And you can blame the owners, you can blame the multiple managers. It's just whatever fates have decided. We are in the situation that we are in now with the players that we have now. It will be what it will be. So, as I said, have some pride. If it means ignoring the plan of the manager just to get over the line, do that, because I feel like he's now here with us until at least the end of the season. Because again, financially, it just makes no sense to fire him, especially if it's going to be cheaper for us to do exactly what we did with Russell Munn, right? Wait until we drop into the Championship, and then compensation will be cheaper to get it from a Championship team to a Championship team if it's Danny Rowe, or we'll drop down into the Championship and we're going to end up with some like Dutch manager no one's ever heard of, and then he's going to end up being banging.
Let's hope. Look, we can all look forward to next season. Let's hope that we have some moments of joy between now and then. That's all we can hope for. And although we can look at these fixtures and struggle to see glimmers of hope, football is a funny old game, and that is why we love it, and that is why we love watching it. And mathematically, we might still stay up. So if that happens, I mean, we'll both buy Suleimana shirts. Let's put it that way.
For your sake, I just don't want your poor children that you have subjected to go in this season. Because imagine your first season as kids being, you get relegated. And then the next season is you come straight back up and you beat loads of teams around you. It's amazing. You go to Wembley. And then you have this season as your third season.
Their first season with season tickets, to be fair, was the Championship. They
Oh,
didn't
was that?
suffer
Oh,
from
you had your first
They're a
one
bit
the year
young.
before.
Yeah, that was me. I have suffered through that as a season ticket holder. They got the joys of the Championship as their first season.
Well, that's even worse, isn't it?
It's selling them a false promise. Let's be fair.
To be fair, mate, when we lost 5-0 to Sunderland, should have been an eye opening, because the players haven't changed half as much as you'd like them to from that game, if I'm totally honest. But swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It's all part of the fun.
It really is. Well, that is just about all we've got time for today. So, Zach, thank you very much for joining me. Let us know in the comments on socials, where do you think our best chance of hope is this season? We are on Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, on our GSPN Southampton YouTube channel. Give us a look up, give us a shout out, and until then, we'll be back tomorrow.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.